I'm wondering something. I'd like to know your thoughts about some of our traveling companions. Do you mind if I ask?
Hello and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition. We are gonna talk to Zoran.
Here I am.
Care to answer some questions? I want to discuss something personal. Never mind. Care to answer some
Oh,
questions?
this should be good. Go ahead.
What does it take to become an assassin? Why did you want to leave the crows exactly? Tell me a little bit about Avanti. Um, didn't he tell us why he wanted to leave the
Well, the
crows?
crows would have you believe that it is an involved process that takes years of training, the sort that tests both your resolve and your endurance. Survive that process and maybe, just maybe, you're good enough to start being considered one of them. But quite frankly, the truth is that all it requires is a desire to kill people for a living. It's surprising how well one can do in such a field.
So you have to be a murderer. It doesn't take any special skill. You did quite well, no doubt. Um, it doesn't take any special skill.
I don't know about that. It's simply a slightly different skill set from your average killer, as I see it. An assassin simply specializes in striking from stealth, and in maximizing that first attack to be as lethal as possible. Debilitate your foe, either by poison or by crippling their limbs, makes any follow-up combat you need to engage in that much simpler.
That sounds like it could be useful. I prefer a straight up battle. You always use poison then? Sounds like it could be useful.
See? Getting paid for the act is beside the point. An assassin is more a tactical choice than a lifestyle. Of course, the crows like to pretend that their abilities are trade secrets, shrouded in shadows and wrapped in a blanket of mystery. So let's just keep this between you and me, shall we? Hmm? Here I am.
Here you are. Can you teach others to be an assassin?
Oh, I certainly could, but I won't. I swore to the crows that the things they taught me were to remain a secret. And while, yes, they are already angry at me, I'd rather not push things, you see.
Sure. You don't think this is important, and what if I ordered you to do it? Very well, respect your word. I'm not
If
gonna
you are
push the
truly
topic.
insistent, well, let me think about it. The crows are already angry at me, yes? Who knows?
Okay,
Here I am.
here you are. Care to answer some
Oh, this
questions?
should be good. Go ahead.
Let's see about
Well,
why the
now,
crows.
I imagine that's a very fair question. Being an assassin, after all, is a living, at least as far as such things go. I was simply never given the opportunity to choose another way. So, if that choice presents itself, why should I not seize upon it?
So you're simply bored? You didn't choose to join the crows. No, he told us. Why would I ask that? But what would you rather do? So you're simply bored?
Uh, I don't know that I would put it precisely that way. I was but a boy of 7 when I was purchased. For 3 sovereigns, I'm told. Which is a good price, considering I was all ribs and bone and didn't know the pommel of a dagger from the pointy end. The crows buy all their assassins that way. Buy them young, raise them to know nothing else but murder. And if you do poorly in your training, you die.
Oh. And that system works? That sounds awful. So you had a hard life, big deal. Does it
Of
work?
course, you compete against your fellow assassins, and those who survive are rightfully proud of it. In Antiva, being a crow gets you respect. It gets you wealth. Gets you women. And men. Or whatever it is you might fancy. But that does not mean doing what is expected of you always. And it means being expendable. It's a cage, if a gilded cage. Pretty, but confining.
So is it you fancy exactly? You sound like you've been spoiled. Why didn't you just leave then? I think I understand. What is your fancy
I
exactly?
fancy many things. I fancy things that are beautiful, and things that are strong. I fancy things that are dangerous and exciting. Would you be offended if I said I fancied you?
Hmm. No, but you needn't bother. Not at all. Yes, actually. Um, I don't know. Who should we romance? Him or Alistair? Or should we romance both? Would you be offended? No, but you needn't bother. Sure.
Ah, that's too bad. I do so enjoy it when I get to be flirty. As for what I'll do in the future, presuming that there is one, I truly can't imagine. It might be interesting to go into business for myself, for a change. Far away from Antiva, of course. For now, naturally, I go where you go.
Naturally. I say we go to Antigua. You think that will change? And when you get the first chance to betray me, won't the crows eventually find you? I'm happy to have you along. Won't they find you eventually?
Eventually can be a very, very long time if one plays one's cards right. Come now, enough chit-chat. Talking about the crows summons them, you know. Any Antivan fishwife could tell you so.
Aw, we got disapproval.
Here I am.
That sucks.
Oh, this should be good. Go ahead.
Do you enjoy being an assassin?
And why not? There are many things to enjoy about being a crow in Antiva. You are respected, you are feared, the authorities go out of their way to overlook your trespasses, even the rewards are nothing to turn your nose up at. As for the killing part, well, some people simply need assassinating. Or do you disagree?
You've never killed an innocent? I disagree completely. No, you're probably right. Probably
I
right.
often find myself the instrument of fate, ending these lives for one necessity or another. I console myself with the notion that most of them had it coming. As far as enjoying the act of killing itself, why not? There is a certain artistry to the deed, the pleasure of sinking your blade into their flesh and knowing that their life is in your hands.
I take no pleasure in killing. I enjoy violence myself. That's a bit sick. I know what you mean. I enjoy violence myself.
You
Sure.
enjoy getting the blood flowing, whether it is yours or others? Yes, I know the type. There are many things I did not enjoy about being a crow, of course. Having no choice, being treated as an expendable commodity, the rules. Oh, so many rules. But simply being an assassin, I like it just fine. I will continue to do it if I can, even if I am not a crow. Honestly, could you picture me doing something else?
Why not? You can do whatever you like. Don't you have any other skills? No, I suppose not.
Somehow that sounds less complimentary than I had anticipated. Of course, all these thoughts are moot. Chances are still good that you and I will perish, eaten by darkspawn or slain by the crows at some point. Very gruesomely, I imagine. But it is pleasant enough to chat about. Come, let's move on while our boots still have some wear in them.
Sure. But we
Here I
still have
am.
more questions.
Oh, this should be good.
Tell me
Go ahead.
more about Antiva.
Oh, you
I wanna
wish to
visit.
know about Antiva, do you?
Mm-hmm.
The only way to truly appreciate it would be to go there.
Yeah, we should go.
It is a warm place, not cold and harsh like this Ferelden. In Antiva it rains often, but the flowers are always in bloom. Or so the saying goes.
And it has assassins. Don't you want to go back? You don't like Ferelden? You don't like Ferelden?
It is fine enough with its dogs and its mud. The people are spirited, even if they can't tell the difference between an assassin and a mere killer. I hail from the glorious Antiva city, home to the royal palace. It is a glittering gem amidst the sand, my Antiva city. Do you come from someplace comparable?
I'm not from any glittering gem, no. Of course, my mother was better than any gem. Why? You want to compare? Don't be an idiot. No, I don't think my
No?
character was from a
That is too
gem.
bad. If you were, then surely you would spend as much time boasting about it as I do.
Probably.
You know what is most odd? We speak of my homeland, and for all its wine and its dark-haired beauties and the lilo flutes of the minstrels, I miss the leather the most.
Now, that is odd. Is that some kind of euphemism? This I have to hear. Is it a euphemism?
It may as well be. But not this once, no. I mean the smell. For years, I lived in a tiny apartment near Antiva City's leather-making district, in a building where the crows stored their youngest recruits, packed in like crates. I grew accustomed to the stench, even though the humans complained of it constantly. To this day, the smell of fresh leather is what reminds me most of home more than anything else.
You sound like you've been away from home forever. That's a little bizarre. There's leather everywhere. Really, you smell a cesspool and think of home. Uh, Sounds like you've been away
Oh,
from
not
home
so long, I
forever.
know. It is my first time away from Antiva, however, and the thought of never returning makes me think of it constantly. Before I left, I was tempted to spend what little coin I possessed on leather boots I spotted in a store window. Finest Antivan leather, perfect craftsmanship. Ah, but I was a fool to leave them. I thought, Zevran, you can buy them when you return as a reward for a job well done. More the fool I, no?
Yeah. Your home is still there, Zoran. I asked you about Antiva, not about your leather fetish. The job being killing me, right? No Antiva boots for you. Your home is still there.
True, and it's a comforting thought. One simply never knows what is to come next. How could I have suspected I would end up defeated by a beautiful Grey Warden, a woman who then spares my life? I could not.
Now you're flattering me. Beautiful, is it? Everyone makes mistakes. You need to make the most of where you are. Don't make me change my mind. Now you're flattering
I
me.
say you are beautiful because it is true. Should I not?
You should not. Don't bother. I'm on to you. No, by all means. By all means.
And glad I am to hear it. Now, if it is all the same to you, I would prefer not to speak more of Antiva. It makes me wistful and hungry for a proper meal.
And we will
Here
talk
I am.
again.
Oh, this should be good.
Oh, there are no more. Okay, so
Here
what's
I
the other
am.
one? Personal.
Oh, this should be good.
Yeah.
What would you like to discuss?
I have no clue. I want you to leave. Never mind. Oh, Alistair, are you upset?
Yes?
Oh, well, I have some questions. I'd like to discuss something private. I don't think
Of
that
course.
there's anything new, but let's just check. Oh, okay. What was it like being a Grey Warden with all the others?
I didn't know them for very long. But I guess it was longer than you. You never met them all, did you? They were
No.
quite a group. Actually, they felt like an extended family since we were all cut off from our former lives. We also laughed more than you'd think. There was this one time. Well, you probably don't want to hear stories about men you didn't know.
No, I'd like to hear them. Weren't there any women? Were there any elves amongst them? No, you're probably right. No, I wouldn't mind hearing.
There was one Grey Warden who came all the way from the Anderfels. What was his name? It was Gregor. He was a burly man with the biggest, fuzziest beard you've ever seen. And the man could drink. He drank all the time, but he never got drunk. Finally, we all made a pool to see just how many pints it would take to put him under the table.
Yeah, that sounds like you had a lot of fun. That's disgusting. Just one of the boys, I see. Sounds like you had a lot of fun.
Sometimes. We were kin of a sort. All of us had gone through the joining, so we knew. Well, anyhow, it doesn't have to be deadly serious all the time. Anyhow, we never did find out. He said he'd drink a pint for every half pint that the rest of us drank. He was still going by the time the rest of us were passed out. I'm told that Duncan walked in later on and saw us all passed out from one end of the hall to the other, and Gregor still drinking. Duncan laughed until he nearly... Until...
A lot of people have died, Alistair, and a lot more will. I'm sorry, this must be hard for you. Not this again, aren't you done yet? This must be hard for you.
Yes, I suppose so. I thought I was done with this, but it just struck me that I have nothing to remember Duncan by. Nothing at all. There's no body, not even a token of his that I could take with me. That must sound really stupid to you.
You have your memories of him. Not at all. Let's not talk about it. It certainly does. Not at all.
I just would have liked something of his to take with me, that's all. Well, there's no use in moaning about it, is there? He's gone. Let's just go. I'm wondering something. I'd like to know your thoughts about some of our traveling companions. Do you mind if I ask?
Which companions now? Go ahead, I don't mind. Why do you want to know? It's none of your business, Alistair. Time for the juicy gossip, I take it. Uh, sure, go ahead.
Zevran, the elf.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't trust him, can you? Do you believe his so-called vow?
No opinion. Next. Maybe. We'll see. Yes, I do, actually. No, not really. Why? Are you jealous? Sure. Are
Maybe
you
a little.
jealous?
That doesn't stop the question from being relevant.
You're jealous. You're actually jealous. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, I actually do. No, not really. Maybe.
That's a lot to put on a maybe, isn't it? He's an assassin. The crows aren't known for giving up. Maybe he's just biding his time.
I don't think he'll try again. If he tries anything, then he'll die. I'm willing to give him a chance. He's very useful. If he tries anything, he
Well,
dies.
at least you're considering the possibility. He just seems shifty to me. What about Sten? The way he looks at me with those eyes. Creepy. And he's so quiet for someone so big.
No opinion. Next, I respect him. There's no reason to be frightened of Sten. He's dedicated. I'll give him that. I agree. The Quinari are unsettling. I respect
The
him.
more I talk to him, the more reasonable he does seem. His philosophy is so strange. But it doesn't sound at all as vile as the Chantry describes it. And yet, he killed all those people. He
I
doesn't
don't
even
think
deny
it.
it. Doesn't that bother you?
We're all killers, Alistair. It means he's good at what he does. Yes, it does bother me a little. He seems to regret what he did. We're all killers.
I don't know if I like the sound of that. But I guess I take your meaning. What about Liliana? Is she crazy?
Liliana. Okay.
Or do you really believe in her vision?
No opinion. Next. You don't believe in religious visions and miracles? I believe that she believes in her vision. She's crazy, without a doubt. It could be true. Who's to say it isn't? I believe she believes in her visions.
That's one way to put it. I don't know what to make of her. If you look at her when she doesn't see you, she just looks so sad. I almost feel guilty taking her away from her life.
It was her choice. She's proven very useful. I don't. This is good for her. Don't be such a soft touch. It was her choice.
Yes, I know. Still, I feel badly for her. Morrigan, do you trust her? Think about it. Maybe Flemeth sent her with us for some other reason than she said.
Nah. No opinion. Next. You really don't like each other, do you? What reason could she have to betray us? You're probably right. Why would she betray us?
Hello? Have you met her? I think she'd need a reason not to betray us.
True. She has a reason. I'd kill her. I think we're useful to her. I don't know about that. You're probably right. I think we're useful to her.
Well, there is that. Enough. I think my curiosity is sated. Let's get back to it, shall we?
Nah.
Yes.
I have some
Of course.
questions. Nope. So no more questions there.
Yes.
Why do
Well,
you say
we're not
yes
exactly
like that?
alone. What did you have in mind?
I need to tell you how much I enjoy your company. Kiss him. I think we need to end this now. Never mind. And what
Fair
now?
enough.
Never mind.
Off we go then.
Yes.
Yes?
What do you know about this place? I'd like to talk to you. I think you should go. What do you know about this place?
Next to nothing, I'm afraid. Perhaps there is little to know about this place, or I simply have not discovered its secrets yet.
I'd like to talk about
Yes?
something else. What do you know about this place? I'd like to talk. Yeah.
Well, here I am.
You were a traveling minstrel. Do you have tales to share?
Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Tell me about the Darkspawn.
Chantry law says it is man's pride that created the Darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know, and their pride They thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So thinking, they invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure and full of sin, and it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life. Instead, the Darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris.
What do you know any stories from Orlais?
Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Orlais.
Go ahead. That sounds interesting. Actually, I don't have time right now. That sounds
A
interesting.
long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods. Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield the sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot.
Continue, please. I saw that coming. Perhaps we could continue this on a later date. Continue.
Aveline's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier in battle, and wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor, and sent her to prove herself to her people in the grand tourney. Now in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the grand tourney, but Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered.
Go on. Did she win the tourney? Perhaps we should continue. Did she win?
Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the grand melee. Aveline had already bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Damn. I was hoping for a happy ending. That's terrible. Yeah, that's terrible.
The son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Aveline's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made king, he rewrote the laws of Orlais so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Aveline and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
Tell me about the Darkspawn. We already do that. Do you know any of Ferelden's legends?
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth?
No! Yes, I have heard of Flemeth. Flemeth, Morrigan's mother, was called Flemeth. I met Flemeth in the Kakari Wilds. No, I don't believe I've heard of Flemeth. You mean Morrigan's mother?
Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend? Flemeth, the devourer of men? Flemeth, mother of witches? Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mists?
What does it matter? Introduced herself as such. She didn't really introduce herself as such. She looked like your average old woman. They probably just have the same name. She didn't introduce
Ferelden
herself as
mothers
much.
scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you.
Tell me the whole story. Flemeth was once beautiful. I don't have time to discuss Flemeth. Tell me the whole story.
Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea. When she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife. Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years, and with his blessing she practiced her art. And then one day a young poet named Osen came to the castle. Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love.
What happened then? Ooh, the plot thickens. I don't think we have time. Ooh, the plot thickens.
Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasing tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her. But when Flemeth and Osen entered Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and Osen was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes. Flemeth was imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her into an abomination, the halls of the castle ran red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men. The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many Chasing men, and with their help begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
Sure. There was another story I wanted to hear.
Which one?
Do you know anything about the Dalish, about Andraste? I thought of it just now, but it slipped my mind. What about Dalish?
I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in the land of their own.
It didn't last?
The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it. The chantry declared a wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved. Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers. They were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish.
What do you know about Andraste? Okay, we're going to end this episode here, and then we'll start the next episode up talking about Andraste. But I hope you guys are enjoying. This episode, we didn't get a lot done because we were talking, but I didn't realize there was going to be so many options for talking to them. And I really enjoy learning about the game through talking to the different characters. I think it really adds something. So I hope you guys are enjoying, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.